Okay, hello year 8. Welcome to lesson 4, Viking homelands and expansion. What we're going to do today is we are going to locate where the Vikings were from. We're also going to locate areas that were impacted by the Vikings. It's going to help us throughout the topic. And we're going to describe how the climate and the geographical features of Scandinavia, where the Vikings were from, helped to shape Viking society. So, guys, um, I've given you at the start for the introduction, I've given you a couple of videos. You can watch one, you can watch both of them, you can kind of skip around. The idea is just so you get an idea of the landscape of Scandinavia and the climate of Scandinavia. Okay, just so you're aware, Scandinavia is a geographical term that encompasses Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. Sometimes it can include Finland as well. It can include Iceland. Okay, but Scandinavia is not a country, it is a group of countries. Okay, so by all means, take some time to have a look at that and just be thinking about what's the landscape like, what is the climate like. Okay, so the first actual task then, Viking geography. So first thing we're going to do is some reading. Okay, so as we read the information below, okay, I want you to highlight in one colour in yellow the Viking homelands, where they were from. Hopefully you've got an idea of that from the videos above. Countries the Vikings traded with, countries the Vikings raided, and areas and countries that the Vikings settled. Okay, and what we're going to do with that information is going to use that to complete a map as well as we can online. Okay, so let's read through this. So, people that have come to be known as the Vikings were people that were originally from the modern day Scandinavian countries of Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. So that should be highlighted in yellow. These are where the Vikings are from. This is their home. Scandinavia's geography affected where people could live and the type of work they could do. Living conditions were harsh and they endured long, bitter winters. The northern region, so up in the north of Norway and Sweden, endure weeks of total darkness and heavy snowfall. However, vast forests meant there was plenty of timber, so wood, and the area teemed with wildlife such as reindeer, elk, and wolves that provided food and fur. Okay, extensive mountain ranges, lakes, and fjords, which is basically a long, narrow inlet of sea between high cliffs like this, and long coastlines were all features of the landscape in Norway and Sweden that meant most people had to live by the sea. Denmark, in contrast, is a lot flatter and so had more useful agricultural land. So there's a little bit of difference between those countries. Okay, most people were farmers that lived in small communities that traded by using boats to travel up and down the coast. Sailing and shipbuilding were important as it was much faster and easier to travel via sea than across the difficult inland terrain. Okay, it's much easier to get a boat along the coastline rather than traveling over mountains. Okay, the Vikings were such successful merchants, that's another word for traders, that they established settlements which became vibrant trading hubs across Europe. So you should be thinking, I need to be highlighting this in green, countries the Vikings traded with. So cities such as Dublin in Ireland, Jorvik, which is York in England, and Novgorod in modern-day Russia, were established by Vikings, and their trade routes reached as far as Kiev, which is in modern-day Ukraine, Constantinople, which is now known as Istanbul, is in Turkey, and even Jerusalem and Baghdad in the Middle East. So they spread very far indeed. Okay, so I would really highlight any country that is named here in green because they're trading all over Europe. Okay, just giving you a modern a photo of a modern Norwegian village here that hopefully can kind of show you the landscape we're talking about. Okay, there's thin strips of land here where people can actually live surrounded by mountains, and you've got water here, a river. Okay, So, many Vikings were skilled woodworkers due to the amount of forests and hunters, okay, developing tools and weapons that would later help them successfully raid and expand overseas. England, Scotland, Ireland, and France experienced many Viking raids, and attacks were also launched on Constantinople, Spain, and North Africa. So there you go. So that all needs to be highlighted in blue, countries the Vikings raided. You should see that there is some overlap there. So when you come to doing your map, some countries are going to have two colours on them. Now we're getting into areas that they actually settled in. Iceland was discovered and settled by Vikings in the late 9th century, and from there, Viking explorers headed west and established settlements in Greenland and Newfoundland, which is modern day Canada. At times, Vikings also ruled parts of England, Ireland, and France, and we'll go into this in a lot more detail in future lessons. Okay, and this as well. So this is just giving you an overview of here, the Viking homelands. This is Denmark, Norway, and Sweden next to it. Okay, early voyages around Europe, and this is a discovery of Iceland, Greenland, and to North America. Okay, so again, there's areas of the world that were first raided by the Vikings, and then they started trading with them, and then they even start settling in parts of them. Okay, so you should have highlighted quite a few different countries in this reading. The idea now is that you're going to use this information to complete the map. Okay, so don't forget to give the map a title and a legend. So make sure you write your title in here. Okay, the legend, all right, I would just highlight what color you're going to use. I mean, I strongly suggest that you use the same colors as up here. Okay, and then you're going to use the draw feature to highlight them. I don't want you like coloring it in too much, okay, because otherwise it's going to get a bit messy, especially because we're dealing with European countries that tend to be kind of small. So I'm just going to show you how I want you to do the Viking homelands. So you need to go, if you're not already, go onto your draw, and then I would pick the highlight option. Okay, and then you need to click on this little hand, draw with mouse or touch. Okay, obviously you might need to look at a map with country names. Not expecting you to know, but I'll just get you going. So this little country here that's on top of modern day Germany, that's Denmark. So that's a Viking homeland. Okay, so you can see the colours are going to be perfect. Then you have Norway here, and then Sweden next to it. Okay, so just something like that. It's just something a little bit rough. Okay, so then go and do the same thing, obviously with a different color for countries the Vikings traded with. You might want to change the size of this, okay, considering the size of the countries. So have a go at that and see how you go. Right, once you have completed that map, you're going to use that map and the information you've just read to answer a few questions. So, I'd like you to describe the geographic features of Scandinavia. So, what's the landscape like in Scandinavia, basically? There was lots of information up in this reading. You can use the photos as well. So, one or two sentences there describe what the geography of Scandinavia is like. Then I want you to go back to the reading and identify the main resources the Vikings had access to in Scandinavia. Okay, so with this term identify, you can literally just create a list. Okay, that's absolutely fine. And then, based on your knowledge so far, explain why the Vikings became successful traders and explorers. So what I would think about is what goods have they got to trade that they can trade, okay, and what aspects of their geography mean that they might be quite good explorers. Okay, it's not an easy question. Again, we're just starting out still, so put down any ideas that you have there. Okay, and then if you have time, just kind of close it all up thinking about Viking geography and landscapes. There's a video here that is a creation myth. of Norse people. Remember, Norse is another word for people from Scandinavia. Okay, I just want you to note down some ideas once you watch it. How did the Scandinavian landscape shape Viking beliefs about the world? Okay, so maybe if there's anything in there to do with mountains or trees, okay, how basically to help us kind of link forward to how the Vikings saw the world in many, many cultures. Okay, their creation myths will be very strongly linked to the landscape around them. Okay, so that final thoughts is just to really start understanding more about the Vikings. Okay, so good luck with that, guys, and I'll see you next lesson.